अरमान मलिक की आवाज में घर से निकलते ही आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो जिंदगी ऑन 1550 AM। मैं हूं आपके साथ में ईरा। शो लेके आए हैं गुड मॉर्निंग जिंदगी, जिसमें अब हमारे साथ जुड़ते हैं अटॉर्नी शाह पीराली फ्रॉम शाह पीराली लॉ ग्रुप। अटॉर्नी शाह पीराली इज द फाउंडर, president and managing attorney of the Shah Peerally Law Group, and he is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association as well as the State Bar of California. He is a passionate advocate of human rights, civil rights, social action and social services, and he has a strong interest in and knowledge of the political and the legal system here in the US. उनका जो लॉ ग्रुप है शाह पीराली लॉ ग्रुप, उनको उन्होंने फाउंड किया, बनाया, सो दैट द टीम कुड वर्क ऑन द कॉजेज दैट ही फील सो स्ट्रांगली अबाउट, दैट इज immigration law with an emphasis on employment-based immigration. They do help clients all over the U.S. Their offices are here in Newark, in San Francisco, and also in Washington, D.C. So West Coast हो या East Coast हो, आप लोग जरूर उनसे कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. उनकी वेबसाइट है peerallylaw.com. That's PEERALLYLAW.com. ऑफिस या नोवाक में है, एंड यू कैन गिव देम अ कॉल ऑन 510-742-5887. लिसनर्स, इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस अबाउट इमिग्रेशन, या फिर अगर आपको कोई डाउट है अपने किसी ऑनगोइंग केस के बारे में या आप शुरू करना चाहते हैं, और इज देयर एनीथिंग दैट यूड लाइक टू आस्क अटॉर्नी शाह पीराली राइट अवे, you can call us on the studio number 510-770-1550. That's 510-770-1550. Attorney Shah, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Ira. Good morning to all the listeners. I hope you can hear me well. We were having some glitches on the line, so hopefully you guys can all hear me. And I wanted to thank you for the nice welcome. And today, of course, we are going to have a great show talking about immigration law and related issues. And, of course, anything I'm going to tell you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. So let's just kind of begin, unless you have a specific question, Ira.
No, we definitely, it is the H-1B season right now. Everybody is worried about it. A lot of people know, of course, there's innumerable cases which are being filed. So do you want to touch upon, do you want to talk about H-1B and then also what's happening right now with the immigration news?
Yes, well, of course, H-1B, it's coming. We have 3 more days to submit in the lottery. So you still have time if you want. You're a company, you need help. Feel free to give us a call, 510-742-5887. And, of course, for those who you need to qualify for the H-1B, H-1B is qualified as a specialty occupation, which means a minimum of a bachelor's degree or equivalent is required to be in an H-1B. Luckily, most of the people in our community are in that category, so we don't have this issue most of the time. Having said that, a lot of people call me about positions that are more administrative than technical. And whenever you look into H-1B administrative position, unless the company is pretty big, it's very hard to get an H-1B in those cases. Not very hard, but harder, I should say. So try to get the position as a technical position to make things happen for you. And also level 1, oftentimes it doesn't look like it's a specialty occupation. So level 2, when I'm talking about level 2, is what the Department of Labor classify the employment. We have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 is the max. So the salary changes according to the level. So talk to your attorney, and if you want to have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we will be glad to help you on the H-1B in those few days. Having said that, because of the H-1B and all the stuff happening I don't really have not really kind of updated myself on the latest news. All I can tell you, I'm getting a lot of calls from people who are, based on their visa bulletin, their dates are becoming current, and they have moved companies. Can they use their, do an interfile? And that's becoming a very frequently asked question. So I'm going to clear that for people today. So let's take an example. You work for company A. You had an EB2. And when in 2021, EB3 did better, a lot of people basically filed a second I-140 and moved to the EB3. And then what happens now, EB3 went backwards or is getting stagnant, and EB2 is going up. So now everybody's being encouraged, even by the USCIS, to move back to EB2. And how do they do that? You have to file a supplement J and move the case. Don't file another adjustment of status. I repeat that. A lot of people have been doing that. Although there were good reasons they were doing it, it's not necessary. And then, if in case you have done that, make sure you cancel the adjustment of status form I-485 on the EB3 if you're moving to EB2. Okay? It's very important you do that. So now if you do the supplement J, the case will move to EB2, and hopefully you'll get your green card in the next few months. I don't think people will get their green card right away because of too many applications, but I'm hoping by the end of the year, many of them will get it. Now, let's say you have a company A, you file your EB3, and then under the rule of AC21, you move to company B. So you move to company B under the EB3. Now the EB2 becomes current. You cannot just jump and file the EB2 on your own as interfile or have company B file it, because the EB2 belongs to company A. You have to have permission of company A to do that. And then, if in case you're in this situation, you will have to wait another 6 months and file another supplement J again to move yourself back to company B. So I repeat that. If the EB2 was with company A, you already moved to B. Unless you get permission of A, you cannot file the I-140 on your own because it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to company A. And I see many people doing that, and that can actually trigger a lot of problems. For one, you're kind of committing fraud because you don't have permission to do that. For two, if the company reports you, you might end up losing everything. Excuse me. So make sure that you talk to an experienced attorney, because many attorneys out there now, I don't know what they're doing. They're telling people to do that without the permission of company A.
Okay.
You can't do that. So I repeat that. Don't do that. So if you need help, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you. Another thing that I'm seeing right now happening is a lot of people are seeing themselves with a situation where they don't know if they should move to EB2 or EB3, if they are still undecided. Well, if your date is around 2013, I will recommend, and if you have an EB2, move to EB2. I said that a couple of times. I'm going to repeat it. There are a few reasons for that. Number one, EB2 is moving faster, and there's a belief, and it's also my belief, that it will keep going up for the next 1 year, for the whole fiscal year at least. The reason for that is that, number one, they're releasing a lot of them. Number two, a lot of people move to EB3, which release the EB2. And number three, EB3 itself has a lot of applications because pretty much everybody can qualify on that, kind of. So make sure you move to your EB2. But before you make a move, talk to an experienced attorney. And again, you can call me and I'll assess your case, even if you have another attorney. We can do a consultation and I'll go over it, over if the option is good or not. So that's another question I'm getting very frequently from clients. Another question that I get, should I maintain my H-1B when I get my EAD? The answer is no, you don't have to. However, it's highly recommended to do so. The reason for that is that if something goes wrong and you have the H-1B, it gives you time to continue staying here in the U.S. while you basically can fix the problem. Remember, if there's a problem on the adjustment of status, there's a chance you're going to see yourself pretty much completely out of status because you won't even have what we call a period of authorized stay because your I-485 adjustment of status has been denied. Having the H-1B, it will protect you. Now, of course, if the case is denied because of the I-140 or because of some kind of fraud, you might also lose the H-1B, but it's rarely the case, so maintain your H-1B as much as possible. Now, the question is it mandatory to maintain it? The answer is definitely no. You don't have to. Because once you file the adjustment of status, you fall into a category called a period of authorized stay by the Attorney General, which means you're not in a status, but you are in a legal situation. That means you're not unlawfully present in the U.S., and that's why they give you an EAD. And it's good to maintain the H-1B again, but it's not necessary. You can work on your EAD or your H-1B. Many companies like you to be an H-1B because they have more control, but at the same time, it also protects you down the road, although it's, like I said again, it's not necessary. So those are the few questions that I get frequently now from people calling me for consultation. Anything you want to ask, Ira, on this side?
No, but I'd definitely like to remind everybody that if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Attorney Shah about your immigration case, you can call us right away on 510-770-1550. That's 510-770-1550, or the office number is 510-742-5887. ये है अटॉर्नी शाह पीराली के टीम का ऑफिस नंबर. You can get in touch with them if you have any immigration related question, be it employment based, be it family based. No question is too big or small. You can ask questions about your case, or if there's a doubt. Right now, क्योंकि अभी H-1B का season है, everybody is trying to get in the line. So if there's any situation that you'd like to discuss, call up right away. Yes, Attorney Shah, let's continue.
Yes, indeed. Excuse me. So one of the things that now, of course, is the H-4 that is attached to the H-1. For those who have been filing an H-4 extension, they have been miserable because it's been taking almost 1 year to get an approval, and also has been causing problems in terms of their job. One way the government has fixed that, which is not really a fix, it's more like a Band-Aid. What they did, they say if you have an extension and your H-4 is approved, you can continue working on the receipt, which was not the case before for up to 180 days. But the thing that is the problem is that the H-4 itself is taking 1 year. So what do you do in those cases? One of the options that I've told people to do is to step outside. For example, if you're from India, go and get a stamping of H-4, come back, and then automatically you don't need an approval of H-4 here to go and get an H-4 stamp. I repeat that. Mm-hmm. H-4 stamping is totally independent of what you file here. It's dependent on the H-1B. The H-1B, you need an approval from the Department of Homeland Security, then you go for stamping. Not for the H-4. This is done directly to the U.S. Embassy. So go get that, especially now everybody is pretty much qualifying for Dropbox. Just get that and come back. And then as soon as you come back at the airport, they give you an I-94. With the I-94, you can basically apply for your EAD and you can work on that. So that's one of the solutions for H-4. And speaking about H-4, of course, since we are talking about it, we'll talk a little bit about the situation of H-4 visa holders who get pretty much divorced and find themselves in very peculiar situations because they are kind of in limbo. Usually when they're going through a divorce, there are arguments about custody, about money, etc. And the partner is very keen to send them back home, and there's no real protection for them. And one of the protections for abused spouses is the EAD based on the H-4, but that is not really a status. All it gives you is an EAD. It doesn't keep you legal here. So one of the ways to do that is to actually move to a student visa. But we are trying, and hopefully now, I was hoping now COVID is away, we would have pushed it more, but suddenly now we just got hit by a war. Everybody's attention is on the war. And now pushing for this rule is almost kind of a very hard, daunting task. But we don't give up. We're going to keep fighting. We need your signature on the petition. Please sign it and share it. It's on change.org. Just type my name and you will see. It's the latest petition I've started. I've started many petitions in my life, and this is the latest one I think I did. So I recommend that you sign it for the protection of others. Even you're not an H-4 or even you're not affected, we need to have empathy and basically basically support those people who are suffering. Unfortunately, because of there's no provision of the law to protect them. So that's another thing that is attached to the H4. I've been mentioning that in the show for a while. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Although I have been a little bit negligent lately on the YouTube again, I will try to upload it. I have not even uploaded my latest shows, but I will try to upload them as soon as possible. So the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Shah Peerally, SHAH Peerally, PEERALLY, Law, LAW. So Shah Peerally Law, just go ahead and subscribe to that channel, and hopefully I will be uploading new stuff as I get them. So this is where we stand now in relation to the H1, H4, H4 EAD. Now, anything you want to add on that, Eva?
Definitely. About that H4 EAD, listeners, change.org, you have to look for Attorney Shah Peerally's name, and all the petitions that are active would show up. So, H4 EAD is the one that we're requesting you to sign, but definitely go through the list and sign and spread the word about as many as you can, if you're able to relate to it, because honestly, even if you cannot relate to that, because there are things that do not affect us directly, but there are so many people who are getting affected by those things. There are so many people whose lives are dependent on these petitions and on these changes. So, and of course, if Attorney Shah has started a petition, there has to be a solid reason behind that. So show the support, sign the petitions, and spread the word as much as you can. And if you're especially interested in signing the H4 EAD petition, it's right there. You can also find it on my RJ page. Log on to Facebook, look for RJ Ira, and the petition is right on top. So definitely sign it and spread the word. That's all I had to say. Attorney Shah, please continue. I had to chime in.
Yeah, exactly. You did the right thing, because this is exactly the idea behind it. Now, going back to the situation in the world, as I mentioned a few shows ago before the war started, that once the war starts, a lot of things are going to change. Luckily, we have not seen many changes when it comes to employment-based immigration. In fact, it seems like we're going to welcome a lot of refugees, and I welcome this idea. At the same time, I call on the U.S. government to accept refugees from other parts of the world too, not to limit it only to Ukraine, because a lot of people are suffering all over the place, including Afghanistan, Syria, Nepal, Africa, you name it. Things are not great around the world, and this is a shout out for all the people suffering. Many of us have been eating full bellies, but many people around the world don't even have one meal a day. So imagine that. So think about them. We can't just ignore them, and help as much as you can. But at the same time, we need an equalizer in the world, and I think climate change is taking care of that. It's really kind of hitting hard, and not only we're getting hit by COVID, we are getting hit by wars. We are also getting hit by climate change, which is bigger than all of this. And we are going to see in the next decade a shortage of food. So my call is to encourage people to start growing food, because at the end of the day, all those luxuries are useless if you are basically starving, right? So that's one of the reasons I have always been attached. Well, maybe because it's my passion to farming and growing food, because it is something that I think is the most important thing right now. And of course, do it in a good way, not with a lot of, not at all with any of those chemicals that they use. Although in some places they use it, some places they abuse it. So this is just my personal call on what's happening. And then now we are hearing that commodities like wheat, many of the staple foods that we use, especially in our communities, or rice, wheat, etc., are getting rare. And also oil. I heard Argentina today blocking the supply of soybean oil, and this is going to affect a lot of people. Last time when we had COVID, it was not done on purpose. It was just they couldn't travel. But this time they're doing it on purpose because everybody is fearing that there will be a shortage of food in their own country. Ultimately, I'm hoping things will go back. It's not going to go back to normal. Okay, stop using the word normal to people who always say that. But hopefully, it will go to some kind of normal, I would say. But it won't go there. But at least not a lot of people hopefully will starve because of this. So we pray for that. And our heart goes to all the people suffering around the world. And I think more and more now we are going to feel things that they have felt for years. And that's sad. We have been spoiled in America, in many parts of the world also. But now, unfortunately, COVID gave us a preview of that. Now we are going to see a lot of more things happening. And that's usually something that is normal if you look at when we had the pandemic, it was followed by a Second World War, a First World War also. They had some kind of pandemic that happened, and then it moved to that. And Second World War, same thing. And now we're barely out of the pandemic, and we're already reaching almost the Third World War. So it's not going to be easy. A lot of people are just going to be kind of focused on stealing other people's stuff, because that's what many countries do when they don't have enough food. They will invade another country and try to get it. And that's something which is going to become more and more common. And hopefully it doesn't get too common and then it hurts a lot of people around. But you need to be ready for the worst. So it's better to be ready than sorry. So try your best if you are someone who likes to plant trees, etc., because that's going to be an essential. Well, it's already an essential, but at least you'll have fresh stuff for yourself. Now, going back to what's happening on immigration front, another thing that I have noticed is that the visa bulletin is not out yet. And we're already the 15th. I'm expecting it any time now. Hopefully, if it delays when it comes to visa bulletin, it's not really always good news. So let's hope we're not going to see some bad news coming, but it's not that delayed, so we should get it in the next few days. So watch out for the March visa bulletin, because the April visa bulletin that is coming out soon. So let's see how things are going to unfold for the people on EB2 and EB3. EB1, I'm expecting it to stay the same. EB2 will probably move forward. EB3 is the one that everybody's kind of watching, but ultimately if they move to EB2, they will not stop watching it. But EB3 will probably retrogress. That's my take on it, and I might be wrong, but that's my feeling on it. But EB2 will keep going up, and that's why I'm encouraging people to move to the EB2. And by the way, national interest waivers are also under EB2, and it doesn't require labor certification. It doesn't even require an employer. So if you need something like that, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you. So, Ira, any questions on those or any comments?
No. Definitely talking about this EB1, especially EB2, EB3 category confusion. A lot of people have migrated, transferred to the other category, and now when the other category, the previous category starts moving, they want to jump back. We've talked about this. We even had callers asking about this. So it definitely is more common than we know. Listeners, if you have any questions about that, you can also call and ask your question on 510-770-1550 from EB2 to EB3. Now people want to switch back to EB2. If you should do it, if you should not do it, that's the main question. Who wants to risk that? If it's a gamble, find out more by talking to Attorney Shah right away or after the show on the office number. The office number for after the show is 510-742-5887, and the website is peerallylaw.com. Yes, Attorney Shah. We have about 2 or 3 more minutes to go, so we need to start wrapping up also.
Yes. So I'm going to wrap up by telling people, we don't do only employment-based, by the way. I do a lot of family petitions, marriage petitions, parents petitions, VAWA, Violence Against Women Act cases, EB1, EB2, U visas. We're doing a lot of U visas. A lot of people, U visa is basically if you're a victim of a crime. Many people don't know that. if you were, for example, attacked at gunpoint, excuse me, at gunpoint, or you're a victim of domestic violence, even if you're an H4, F1, we might be able to get you a U visa. Give us a call, 510-742-5887. Take advantage of it because it ultimately leads to a green card. And now with Biden having relaxed on the work permit for U visas, U visa holders where the case has been accepted, filed, they will give them an EAD as soon as possible. So take advantage of that if you are a victim of, there are few, just check it on my website, U visa, U like universal visa. So you will see the potential of the U visa. It's actually very, very powerful. Now, just to wrap up again now, because I think we have 2 more minutes to go, I wanted to tell people H-1B season is still open. We have 3 more days. If you're a company, you need help, I will be glad to help you. And I mentioned earlier, for people who have already moved from one company to another under AC-21, if you're trying to interfile, you might not be able to do so unless you get the permission of the company A where you were working. Then you file. Don't try to file it on your own because that can be really a major fraud. So be careful on that. Now, going back also to the situation of what's happening in the world, how is this going to affect the immigration? Definitely it will. This is not a recap, but I'm going to quickly talk about that. For one, I was expecting a large migration to happen based on climate change, but now the war is already taking care of that. Just to let you know, many times when you have some kind of climate change, you have also wars that comes with it because it kind of goes to people trying to conquer their neighbor to basically have enough food to survive. But in this case, it's more about money and oil, etc., but still the same principle. And so be ready for that. As for people who are filed as refugee status, if you need help, give us a call, 510-742-5887. And one last mention I want to tell everybody, we are living in a very tough world, and politicians are pushing to divide and rule. So don't buy so much into their nonsense. They tend to use religion for their interest. They tend to use race for their interest. They tend to use anything they can to show differences instead of similarities. So it's our duty to do that and to basically protect humanity, because at the end of the day, we depend on each other, on one another, and just trying to outcast one group against another is not healthy and it's not going to help us. So on those notes, I wanted to end and tell everybody to stay safe and protect yourself, and hopefully things will get better in the next few months. And we pray to God that this happens, God willing. And I wanted to thank you, Ira. Anything I told you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. And return if you have any questions. 510-742-5887. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Attorney Shah. Thank you very much for being here with us. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. 510-742-5887 is the number, and the website is peerallylaw.com. That's PEERALLYLAW.com. Stay tuned to Radio Zindagi.